8-3, Slope of a Line, Part 3, Day 1. Our objective today is to graph linear equations using slope and intercept. We're not really going to start with that yet. What we're going to start is the first step, which is identifying the slope and the y-intercept. Now we're used to doing tables, and they take a long time. You plug in the x value, you get your y value, and then you plot it, and then you plug another point and plot it. Plug in another x value, get your y value, plot it, and that takes a long time, and I know nobody really likes doing it that way. So you get your line, and remember, you go all the way through the points. You put the arrows at both ends, showing that it continues on forever. If you remember a lesson or two back, I showed you going to our friend's house. We'd go up 2 streets, over right, and that would give us our slope, which is 2/3 in this case. Well, 2/3, if you look back a moment at what we just wrote down, you have 2/3 in the original equation. Let's come back to that in a moment. Look at where your line crossed the y-axis. That's known as the y-intercept. It's -1. Look back at the equation. Notice that we have a negative or a -1 in the equation as well. If we know the slope and we know the y-intercept, then we can graph the line. So if we use what is known as the slope-intercept form, where we have y equals mx plus b, so our goal is to get y by itself, then we know that m will be our slope and the b will be our y-intercept. Well, let's practice. If we have it already in the form y equals mx plus b, let's practice finding the slope and the y-intercept. So would you identify the slope and y-intercept for each one of these equations, write down the equation onto your guided notes, and then state what the slope and y-intercept is. If you're not sure, then go ahead and watch 1 or 2 of the problems with me and then try to do it on your own. But I'd like you to try to, at least in your head, guess as what you think the slope and the y-intercept are. So for number 1, we have y equals 3x plus 5. So our slope would be 3. It's the number that's multiplying the x. And then our y-intercept would be positive 5, since it's a plus 5 that is by itself. Number 2, y equals 4/5 x minus 1. The slope is 4/5. 4/5 is multiplying x. Our y-intercept is a -1. We want to make sure that we take that sign and bring it along with the number, especially if it's a negative. Number 3 is one of my favorites. The slope here is -7 because it's -7 times x. So what's our b? There's no number all by itself. Well, there's not, and we don't see anything. So what can we either add or subtract that won't change the value of the basic equation? We could add 0. So our y-intercept would be 0. Here's another one of my favorites. What's the slope for this line? This tends to confuse people. They want to say x or -x or something along those lines. But remember, if you don't see a number in front of a variable, there's a 1 in front of it. So in this case, it's a -1. So our slope is -1. Our y-intercept then should be obvious. That's 3. Number 5 is my favorite of the 6 problems. What's the slope? What's the y-intercept for this? The slope here is, if you don't have an x value, you need to put it in, and we can put it in by multiplying it by 0, because 0 times x would be 0, plus 4 would just bring us back to our plus 4. So our slope is 0, and our y-intercept is 4. Now what would this line look like? Hopefully you're thinking to yourself the snowboarding, and remember, if you have a slope that's 0, that's a flat land, and the excitement level for snowboarding on flat land is 0. So number 6, y equals 2/5 times x minus 1/4. Doesn't matter that there's fractions in there. Our slope is 2/5. Our y-intercept is -1/4. And I do want to emphasize, it doesn't matter if you have a fraction for the slope or the y-intercept. For the y-intercept, it's going to make it a little bit harder, but it's still allowed. And for the slope, it actually, in some ways, makes things a little easier. All right, so here's the main focus for today. We want to get this equation into the form of y equals mx plus b. So our goal is to get y by itself. That's what we're doing for the next 4 problems. I want you to think, I need to get y by itself. So let's look here. We have x plus 3y equals 15. What's being done to y? It's being added by x and multiplied by 3. Get rid of the easy stuff, so get rid of the x. On the left side, if we go x minus x, that leaves us 3y. On the right side, we have 15 and a minus x. You cannot combine those. Those are not like terms, so you need to keep them separate. So we're going to write it as negative x plus 15. So, next, they're multiplying by 3, so we'll divide. Now on the left side, 3 divided by 3 is 1, and then I'm going to divide each one of those terms by 3. So I have x divided by 3, 15 divided by 3. Now x divided by 3 isn't really going to work too well. So I'm going to put a 1 in there, and I'm going to do 1 divided by 3. Well, I still can't do 1 divided by 3. You can't fit 3 people into one seat. I don't care if they're supermodels or what. It doesn't matter how skinny they are. You can't fit 3 into 1. So we're going to leave it as a fraction, and we're going to do 15 divided by 3 to get 5. So we'll get negative 1/3 x plus 5. Our slope will be negative 1/3. Our y-intercept would be 5. And there's our answer. Number 2. 2x minus y equals 9. What's our goal? Get y by itself. It's being added by 2x and subtracting itself. So let's get rid of the 2x. We're subtracting 2x. Don't look at what's behind the 2x. Look at what's in front of it. Nothing's in front, so it's a positive. That'll leave us negative y equals negative 2x plus 9. Again, you cannot combine those. They're not like terms. Please don't do that. How am I going to get rid of that minus sign? Think of there being a 1 in front of it, and we're going to divide both sides by negative 1. That'll give us negative 2x divided by negative 1 plus 9 divided by negative 1, which simplifies to y equals 2x minus 9. What's my slope? 2. What's my y-intercept? Negative 9. And there's our answer. Would you try number 3? Do as much of it as you can. Remember, our goal is to get y by itself. Okay, did you subtract 3x from both sides? That will leave us 4y equals negative 3x plus 8. What's being done to the variable? It's being multiplied by 4. So we're going to divide both sides by 4. On the left side, that'll leave y, and then we're going to divide each term by 4. Can't do 3 divided by 4. Can't fit 4 people into 3 seats, not evenly. So we'll leave that as as a fraction, and 8 divided by 4 is 2. What's our slope? Slope is negative 3/4. Y-intercept is 2. Would you try this problem? Again, the goal is to get y by itself. Okay, hopefully you've finished it. So subtract 6x from both sides. We'll get 2y is equal to negative 6x plus 10. They're multiplying by 2, so we're going to divide both sides by 2. That's going to simplify to y, and then we're dividing both terms. Everything gets divided by 2, so I've got negative 6 divided by 2. That we can do. 10 divided by 2. That we can do. So we get negative 3x plus 5. What's the slope? Negative 3. What's the y-intercept? 5. And there's our answer. And that's the end of our lesson. Thank you very much. Bye.